All right, guys, welcome to Dink and Donuts podcast. I'm Cody. Today I have Diadem co-founder Evan Specht with us. Evan, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Cody.
You bet. I appreciate you working with me and the time delay. Looks like you guys are in Florida. I'm up here in North Idaho, so I think that's like a 3 hour difference. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys are staying busy, getting ready for the weekend.
Yeah. Super busy. Weather here is beautiful. I don't know how it is yet there up in North Idaho, but
Yeah, we're
hopefully it's
like
getting warmer.
50 and cloudy today, but
All right.
yesterday
All
was
right.
70 and sunny. So, it's North Idaho weather. It's
Yep.
just changing minute to minute. But awesome. Well, Evan, let's get started. Um, Diadem has kind of been known for, tennis and they're um, now transitioning over into pickleball. What what transitioned that, move from tennis into pickleball, or at least, mixing both
Right.
categories in sports?
Yeah, I mean that is key right there. We are doing both still. So we still have a pretty robust line. We've unveiled some new products. We signed a top 20 pro in tennis to launch our new racket this year. We work with literally hundreds of racket clubs and then thousands around the world. So tennis is still a big part of our business. Pickleball has started to overtake it in terms of total volume and percent of the company for sure. And that's part of just the rapid growth of pickleball. Also, in tennis, we're what I've always called a challenger brand, right? There's the big, long-term titans that have been in tennis for some of them over 100 years, and we're coming in trying to disrupt. And it's a different vibe than in pickleball, where most of us in most shops and most online shops, we're considered one of the at least top five brands. So we've been around as long as almost everybody, longer than 90% in pickleball. And the reason behind it was our kind of R&D and product development and vendors, they could do it, and they could do it in a way that was better than pretty much everybody back when we got in. There was a lot of still, mom and pop garage brands. And with our R&D and our product development, we knew we could do it better. We launched with the Icon, which was really one of the early thermoformed. We didn't call it thermoformed back then. That was a name that some brand made up and kind of stuck. But it's a hot press molded paddle, replaceable edge guards. And after that, we hit with the Warrior, which is one of our most kind of viral paddles back when we launched it. And so we spent a lot of time. We built a pickleball court in the back of our facility. We played. I started playing tournaments just to kind of understand what was needed, where the direction was going, and then it just started kind of blowing up. And all of our current customers that were either a retail shop or a facility that was a tennis club were adding pickleball. So it was kind of an easy transition for us to be able to offer both, and that was really the reasoning behind it.
Nice. And with pickleball being such the fast growing sport it is, have you guys seen that pickleball is taking over like Diadem's focus? Or are you guys still
Um,
more, are you guys split 50-50?
Yeah, I would say we definitely are kind of engineering and innovating on both sides.
Hmm.
In pickleball, there's just so much more happening. It's so much quicker.
Yeah.
The kind of the like the new product cycle for tennis is 2 to 3 years. In pickleball, I feel like it's 6 months to a year, and you're either behind the curve or you're not considered innovating. So a lot of our efforts definitely come in the pickleball innovation, but we are definitely focused on our sales plan and marketing plan on both
Correct.
sides. And for us, whether it's locally to the U.S. or our partners internationally, it's kind of hand in hand. There's not really at this point too many customers that are only tennis. They're also tennis and pickleball. There are some that are just pickleball, just because you have like pickleball, superstores and pickleball
Yeah.
central. Like they have no interest in tennis, but any kind of shop or club, they're adding pickleball, and so we got to keep both kind of top of mind for ourselves.
Good, good. You said you played in tournaments. Are you still playing?
I'm gonna play tomorrow with my daughter, but she's only 2, so it's not gonna be too
Okay.
competitive. But no, I don't. I unfortunately don't have a lot of time. I mean, I played in Japan with some pro-ams. I really just don't have time to do tournaments. I would love to again. I would love to do tennis and pickleball tournaments. So I had a good excuse back when we were developing and planning. Now I don't have as good of an excuse, so I can't really do it.
Yeah, no worries. You got to run the business, have the family.
Yeah.
I totally understand. I think, I just played a tournament down in Arizona called Match Point, and I think they just are getting ready to come to Florida and do like broadening out from just Arizona to Florida and Texas. So I'm interested to see if they're going to reach out to you guys as like a sponsor for like a Florida tournament or how that works out. So
yeah, and then of course here in Florida, we have our own facility, so we own and operate the Diadem Pickleball Complex just down the road from our headquarters, and so we have 9 indoor courts. Tulsa, we also run a 9 indoor court, and then we have a couple others that are in process. So a lot of times we do partner with tournaments and try to not only get them product and stuff, but also places to play.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I haven't been to Florida for years, so it'd be cool to go down and see what it's like playing pickleball down there again. When you're talking about the innovation with tennis and in pickleball, you guys just launched your new BluCore. It's not open to the public yet as far as for sales yet. That's coming, I think, May 20th.
Mm-hmm.
How long of a project was that for you guys to work on, and what was the efforts that went into that?
Yeah, so it's hard to say because it's all part of a process that started back when we launched the Vice. I don't know if you saw the Vice or have played with that one, but we launched that at our first Diacon, and it's a full EVA foam paddle, and that was back in like 2022, I believe. And that really started the concept of, can we make a foam paddle? Now, we launched other paddles between that we were already in process, but this sort of idea of a foam paddle was kind of launched in our minds back then. That was not an approved paddle. It was never meant to be an approved paddle. It was meant to be kind of a window to the future. And so as we started to test different materials and get closer and closer, it became, in the last 12 months, I would say, a real clear directive that this is where we're going. Before that, of course we were always tinkering. Could this be? And so in the last 12 months is when we start to really fine tune. Okay, we have a supplier, we have a material core that we like. Now we got to build around it, and then do we launch with one specific type, or what we ended up doing was 9 different variations, which
a lot of them.
Yeah, which has been a drain on our retail customers a little bit. Like, what do I get? At the end of the day, we decided we wanted to make BluCore accessible to as many people as we could on that first jump. And typically we do launch like only 1 or 2 variations, and then we add as we go. It's just easier for our vendors. It's easier for purchasing. It's easier for customers in some ways. But like having a 19 millimeter max and a 14 millimeter Pro, which is similar to our Speed Pro in the shape, those are so different. But they both have BluCore. They both are getting the benefits of the BluCore, because the BluCore is not just about a specific paddle. It's about the whole concept of being able to offer a lifetime warranty, having a better dwell time, a better durability, a better sweet spot. And so that's why we did it. And like I said, it's really been about a year of just kind of hard focus on that with testing and prototyping and all that.
Yeah. So the Max 19, the biggest paddle that you guys are offering in the 9 paddle lineup, is your guys' Tri-Core. So that's BluCore. Is it Nomex in the middle?
Yeah, Nomex Kevlar. Yeah, Kevlar
Nomex
is
Kevlar.
The name. Nomex is like the generic part of it. Yeah.
Okay, and then BluCore.
Yeah.
And have you guys done a Tri-Core paddle before? If I am not, if I
I mean, we had a different name for it, but our Warrior V1 and V2 both are a 3-layer core. That has been kind of the build behind the Warrior.
Okay.
We always liked it. I mean, from our V1 to our V2, we feel that it offers a really unique playing experience. It was driven by this idea of a 19 millimeter is so thick. How would a solid honeycomb or solid BluCore react compared to kind of splitting it up? We like splitting it up because we can have different hardnesses throughout. Right, so So it's always been that hard Nomex or Kevlar core,
Hmm.
and a softer, basically bread to the sandwich, right? That's the meat and the either a PP honeycomb, which is what the V1 and the V2 are, or this BluCore. And so it allows you to be very very touch and feel with the dinks and the
Yeah.
reset, maybe being able to slow it down. When you go hard, when you want to drive, when you want to put it away, it kind of goes into that hard center and allows it to play more like a thinner paddle, right?
Yeah.
Where, you basically have a thin core. So feedback has always been great on the 19. I would still consider it kind of a niche paddle, right? 19 millimeters is bigger than most people are used to, but
Yeah.
it plays great for people that want that type of feel.
Yeah. I think I played with a 19 and a 20. I think I tried out
Yeah.
the Lux, and that's just not for me. But the
Yep.
14 and the 16, those are like the preferred ranges for me. And I played
Yeah.
a little bit with the two paddles behind me. I haven't had a whole lot of time. They actually arrived like the day after got left for Arizona, and then I was there for a week, so I only got a couple days in with
Okay.
playtime. But so far, the feel is great. Like they are dead in the hand. Like there's whatever the blue core is made of, like
Yeah.
there's no vibration at all.
Nope.
It feels super nice in the hand. Um, but with the new technology, I've seen you guys are just getting hit hard with the edge guard. Nobody's even talking about the blue core. They're just everything is all about the edge guard, and I think that's it's an easy fix. What's kind of your guys' take
Well,
on
yeah, I
that?
mean, we love the edge guard. The edge guard was something that we developed for a while. It's a molded edge guard. It's connected into the core, right? It's connected into the into the carbon fiber, into the thermoformed core of the paddle. So you're getting a incredibly durable edge guard. It's not gonna break. It's not gonna disconnect. That's been kind of an Achilles heel for especially the thicker Warrior V1. Because you have such little surface area to connect. So we actually molded it in, and when you see, actually, I have one here, a cut one. When you see it cut, I mean, you can see how it's like it's fused to part of the paddle.
Nice, yeah,
And so a couple things that happens as a result of that. You do have a seam, which you can't really see, and you can kind of see it there. You have a seam there because that's where the mold is then released.
hmm
So I can imagine some people might say, well, I have a line down the middle of my paddle. I mean, it's kind of the way that it is. And then because it's this elastomer PU, it's almost like has a little bit of like an oily feel to it, And so I think the feedback that we've gotten from the reviewers and play testers, and the majority of them love to tinker with their paddles, right? The
yeah,
majority of consumers aren't tinkering with it. They buy a paddle and they use it. If you want to tinker with it, there's all the options for lead tape or tungsten tape, and some people have little strips, and we do as well, that are already 3 grams versus a full just like roll of lead tape. So some stick better than others. Some don't stick at all. So I mean, that's something that people will have to kind of tinker with. What we found is traditional lead tape, like strips, not just like strips that are branded, but like a roll of lead tape, sticks the best. We also have our paddle armor, which is like kind of just a polymer that just wraps around and protects and can easily be, replaced. That holds well, and so you put the lead tape and you cover it with the paddle armor. You could rough it up. We suggest to clean it. You could use rubbing alcohol. You clean the edge
yeah,
guard, tape sticks, and it's not too big of an issue. I think some people have tried the tape that they have, the one tape that they have, and maybe their adhesion is not great. But it's something that we'll continue to work on. I think that the benefits of having this fusion guard way outweigh a little bit of extra effort to get lead tape to stick.
absolutely. I mean, you get so many people that, even me included, when you're in those dinking games or you get a short drop on you and you're almost digging your paddle, it's going to be super helpful having that molded into the core
Yeah.
where it's not, you know, peeling off or separating from the face. And then you have this weak point where the carbon fiber face can lift and or it's just peeling off and it makes a weak spot or it makes a weird sound when you're playing and it's distracting. So I think being all molded is super beneficial. And yeah, like taking a little bit of extra time. Okay, cool. I can't just stick my tape on there. I have to wipe it down and then put it on. Like, okay, it's not that big of
Yeah.
a deal.
Yeah, I think it's
So
just, it's what we get for innovating. Like there's negatives and positives. You'd like some new innovation to just be 100% better than anything that ever existed, but there's some things that are give and take. I think in the end it'll be a pretty easy solution, but I can understand it's different. It's different,
yeah,
and the first reaction to some is negative, and we deal with that all the time, and we just keep
yeah,
on going. So it's not a big deal.
yeah, absolutely. So with your guys' BluCore, and there's other foam core paddles that are out there and even more that are coming into the picture, every week it seems like. But the top ones are, the Selkirk Pure Foam and then the Carbon True Foam Genesis. Um, what do you think is the difference between BluCore between their foam paddles?
Yeah, I mean, I can answer it related to the CRBN one, just because I know a little bit from what I've seen and felt. That's a completely different foam. I think
Okay.
they're all different foams. I mean, and that's what we'll start to see. We'll probably see a bunch of different types of foam as people try. The True Foam is a very dense and heavy foam. A big benefit and what we looked for and developed with BluCore was a very lightweight but strong foam, right? Because we didn't want to have to put holes in it. Putting holes in it defeats the whole purpose of having a solid core. By literal definition, you're basically just making it a honeycomb in many ways again, and you have opportunities to have inconsistencies, as well as dead spots or when I mean inconsistencies, not just like when you hit, but from paddle to paddle. So having the BluCore be a solid core, every paddle's the same, and our goal and our expectation and what we're offering is that it will maintain the same feel throughout the life of the paddle. So having a much heavier foam, I mean, I think it could have some benefits in the short term, but I think in the long term, that's not the direction we wanted to go. They went with it, and I think results have been some. Obviously, they were the first. They made sure that they launched 2 days before we unveiled BluCore at Diacon. So they definitely were first. I don't think that necessarily means that they're right, and I think all the innovation that we put into our paddle is took a little bit more time. We wanted to make sure we got it right. With the Selkirk, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't heard or seen it. We don't see that too much down here in South Florida. I mean, it might be surprising for you up in North Idaho where Selkirk is your neighbor, but
Yeah.
South Florida, there's just not a whole lot of it, to be honest. So I'm not
Okay.
sure. I know there's been some mixed feelings on some people I've talked to that have tested it and didn't use it. I think it's still a great innovation to have a solid core, and if it does well, great for them. If it doesn't, then they'll innovate and hopefully keep going with more solid core, because I do think solid core is the future. I think consumers want something that's going to last. They want something that's going to perform, but also not change and fall apart or change and become illegal. I also like the idea of solid core because it is a little bit tougher to make, right? It takes more time, it takes more money. There's less vendors to source the material. And in a world right now where we have over 2,000 brands, if we can make the highest level paddle more difficult to make and exclusive to only true brands that are putting in R&D and that have employees that with families and stuff, and not just some brand that started in the garage and can compete right away. I mean, at some point that will stop, and you're either a brand that put the work in, or you're maybe you're selling on Amazon and you get a few sales and that's it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, out of the couple days I played with BluCore, it's like I said, it's felt amazing. I have a little bit of tinkering just because of
Sure.
I like to tinker and I like to get my paddle to a certain weight. But I don't get into the whole twist weight and swing weight. Like I just want to keep it simple and I want to just be like, yes, it plays good. I like the feel, I like the power, I like the control, and just kind of keep it simple. I think a lot of people get a little lost in all of the specs and twist weight and swing weight and everything. And some people just want to know how the paddle feels and if it's a good paddle, if it's control or if it's power focused or if it's a hybrid.
Right.
So that's kind of where my goal is at.
Yeah, I think some, even some high level players aren't going to get too much into the tinkering. They probably want to get their weight consistent across multiple paddles, so they're changing between paddle and paddle. But I think also one thing to bring up is the difference. Maybe that we lose some people's ability to quickly adjust their weights on the edge guard. All of our paddles, and this one the butt cap's off actually, so they're all a clear butt cap. I think I have a final one here that so that's what it'll have, a butt cap on there, right? But it's clear, so you can see the BluCore, so you can see it's an authentic, not a counterfeit. But that piece comes off, so you can actually customize here, which is what we our tennis rackets. They all have, basically they're called trapdoors, right? You can replace it, and then this is where some customization can go. So you can either drill out some of the BluCore and put in silicone. You could probably put just some tungsten putty or some sort of lead putty here, and then put the trapdoor back on. So that actually is something that is easier to customize than any other brand. I think the edgeguard is a little more difficult to customize, but not impossible.
Well, that's super interesting. Like, I didn't even look into. I knew about the clear door, so you could see that it was a genuine BluCore Diadem paddle, but I didn't know that was like a trap door.
Yeah, you can use like an awl or a screwdriver, and you can pop that right out. You can adjust weight in there if you wanted, and then put it back. So that's, again, I mean, we have customization guru on staff. That he does for tennis rackets. We have a lot of customers, junior, competitive, or pro players that want their rackets customized, and that's almost always part of the customization, is you're messing with the overall weight or the swing weight by adding it into the handle and not just on the head.
Interesting. I am definitely going to have some tinkering to do now, just to kind of see what I like, because I've never really added any weight. Like, I've never done any of the slice caps. It's usually always just adding weight to like the 3 and 9 or even like 4 and 8 corners, maybe sometimes at 12, just to bring swing weight up, or just like the weight to the head of the paddle, because I just like to drive away at the ball. I don't have I don't like to drop it. I'll drive, and it brings back kind of like the tennis feel for me a little bit, but man, I can't even switch back to tennis anymore. It's just
it's tough,
totally
right?
Totally foreign now. With moving forward for the future and other innovation, are you guys looking at going to like an all BluCore paddle with a edgeless paddle, or are you guys looking at anything different, or is that still down the road?
Absolutely. What we stated at Diacon, which is where we unveiled this along with other products, right? We stated, and this is our continued mission, is all of our future high-end paddles will be BluCore driven. So right now our Icon, for example, is an edgeless. It has replaceable edge guards, but those edge guards don't need to be included, or even if they are, it's a very thin piece of plastic. Our Warrior V2 is edgeless. We can obviously make an edgeless BluCore paddle. That's not necessarily what's next, but it's something that we will continue to think about and do. I would consider the Warrior series that we just launched, although there's 9 different variations and some are more powerful than others, in the sense of what power is today, I wouldn't consider it a top power paddle. It's more of an all-around paddle. The Warrior has always been an all-around paddle. Power when you need it, control when you want it kind of attitude. There will be later this year a high-level power paddle with BluCore in it. We will continue to launch high-end products driven by BluCore. We're really happy with the BluCore. I think our customers are going to be as well. The feedback, obviously, as you've seen, it's been you've played some yourself initially, and we've had others,
Yeah.
that have put some hours into it. We've done lab tests where we're hitting it 18,000 plus times. The change that happens when we hit 18,000 balls in a controlled test to BluCore versus honeycomb is 10 times, right? There's almost no change. It could be more. If we did 50,000, maybe we'd find out it's 20 times, right? There's almost no change to the BluCore, whereas honeycomb is already just starting to really fold in on itself. There's no spring back. And so I think for us, the solid core, and BluCore is where we're at now. Maybe in 5 years, it's a different version of it that maybe has more density, less density. We already have different densities that we've been messing around with. But to answer your question, yes, all of our paddles that are of our performance style will have BluCore, and they'll be done in different ways.
Nice. Well, you said something when you're starting off with the upcoming paddles that you have an actual full power paddle that will be getting released, in the future, and that definitely piques my interest for being just a power style player. So I will definitely be keeping my eyes out for that one. Last thing that I want to hit on, and it's just because it's special to me, is Diadem has, with their first responder line, you guys take part of those proceeds and donate that to Tunnels for Towers. You guys, it seems like you guys are the only company that has something with that. As far as I've seen, since I've been doing this for 2 months, I've been playing for 10 plus years, but since I started getting into all the different paddles, you guys are the only company I see do that. What's the driving focus for that?
It's all goes back to our live to play kind of motto, mantra, tagline, whatever you want to call it. We create products, whether it's in tennis or pickleball, shoes or a hard good, that are for everybody to go out and find something they love to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
In pickleball, we realized right away that it was more than just this lifelong sport. Tennis is great. It's my first love, right? And it's a lifetime sport, and I can play it the rest of my life. But not everybody can, right? I can't go out there with my wife and play tennis. It would not be very fun. She's great to be around. I love her, but she's not going to be a competitive, high-level tennis player. Pickleball, I go out there. I mentioned before we started, I'm going to play a little bit of pickleball tomorrow with my daughter. She's 2. Now it's not going to be serious, but she can hit the ball back. My wife can. She does all sorts of events in pickleball, right? Her dad plays every day. So it's a way that you can bring anybody in. And so we brought communities in. We wanted to reach specific communities because we can do stuff with a paddle by just literally putting cosmetics on it. And make it special to somebody. Whereas again, in tennis, I can't really do that with a tennis racket. It's very difficult to do that. And so it's like you're either a club player, a high level player, or you don't play tennis, right? In pickleball, you might just play because you want to do a charity event, or you might want to play because you're trying to meet somebody new, or trying to get healthy again. And so it was a really cool kind of mission we started where let's make some paddles specifically to heroes, right? So police, military, fire, that's where it started. My wife is a nurse. She's an RN. So the second round, we made a nurse, EMT, and teachers, because I consider teachers, my grandma was a teacher. I consider teachers to be a first responder in many ways as well. So, all that combined just makes those people hopefully feel special. It's a great gift, right? Like your dad's a policeman or a firefighter, you get it from him, right? What's really cool about, I'm sure it happens a lot with the police too, but firefighters, because they live on campus for those couple days that they're on shift, they've replaced basically basketball courts with pickleball courts. So there's so many firefighters we've done events for, or they end up purchasing. We gift probably more of those first responders than are actually sold. It's cool when you go to a fire station. There's literally 8 dudes out there playing pickleball, and then when we did this idea, I mean, my first thought was, I mean, we have to raise money for charity for it, right? Like, and at the time, I have to be honest, I'd heard of Tunnels to Towers a little bit, but when I looked into it, I was like, wait a second, it really supports fire, police, and military, and that's what these paddles are for. I mean, it's perfect, right? So,
Yeah.
And their mission is just incredible, right? I mean, they are one of those organizations that are doing things the right way. So, every year, a portion of it, we have just a deal with them where we donate money, and we've done some other things where they've come in person to some of our events, and we've done they host tournaments like either golf or tennis as well that is partnered with them. So we've done a lot of different things with them, and it's just cool. It's just cool to be part of it.
Yeah. And I can totally speak on it because just down the road from me, like 3 blocks, a new fire station went in, and they pull out their engine and their ambulance, and they have a pop-up pickleball court. I'm like, of course you guys do.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, of course. I'm like, well, one of these days I'm just gonna come in on shift and we'll see who.
Yeah.
Police versus fire. Let's see who's better.
At our facility, we do once a year. There's a tournament that we don't really host. I mean, it's at our facility, but someone else runs it. I think we might help run it, but they put it all on. But it's like fire and police. I think head to head. In the area. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's kind of like a direction that I kind of want to go with like my local community, and because we have like 3 different fire stations within the city that I work, but our police department and fire department work so intertwined together on calls, and we all have a good relationship. I think it'd be fun to do like a police and fire like event, but that's down the road. I'll try to work on it.
Sure.
It's not something that's just a snap of the fingers, but
yeah, well, let us know. We'll see if we can help out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Evan, I think, I have all the questions. Is there anything that you want to add just for the sake of your time? I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would just finish with, I hope that everyone gets a chance to give it a try. There's obviously a lot of variations. We're going to be in a lot of retail locations online, as well as in store. So at the end of the day, we hope that within the 9 variations, the 9 SKUs, you'll be able to find your perfect match. You're going to get a much better dwell time. You're going to get a great durability, a lifetime warranty on the core. We feel that the sweet spot is bigger. Obviously, in paddles like the Max, you're getting that extra square footage. You're getting more spin. In the paddles like the 14, it's quick in the hand, it's thin, it's fast. In the 19, you're getting that ultimate all-around paddle where you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. And so, I'm just excited really to get it out there to the masses.
Yeah, we're, just over a month before it's gonna be out, and everybody will be playing with it, and hopefully, I honestly hope it's a big hit for you guys. I am enjoying the Max and the Pro shape so far. Like I said, just now for time to I played with it stock, and now it's just time to tinker it and get it to where my special point is that I like all my paddles, and just keep going. But
yeah,
again,
and on that note too, all of the final will be the black. So this is what the final design looks like to the reviewers. We had some sales and to some of our partners. A lot of our partners got sales samples, and we broke up the colors so that it was kind of obvious of which one was a standard, which one was a pro, which one was a max. But they all will be black, and so we're excited to have that clean look. They're designated pretty obviously, like which one is, I guess it's probably hard to see because it's reversed, but Pro 14 or Pro 16, so it should be pretty easy for everybody.
Okay, so that brings me to, I guess, like one last question then. So from the little 9 paddle breakdown pamphlet that came with the paddles, my understanding was that the Pro line would be the black color, the blue line would be the standard, and then green would be the max. But moving forward for actual retail, everything is going to be black.
Correct, yeah. So that was to help differentiate initially to get when we got it out there. But in the final cosmetics, they will all be black.
Awesome.
With this first round. We'll add a different colors later, I'm sure, but for simplest systems now, it's just black.
Well, that black is super sharp looking.
Yeah, it's very clean.
It's very clean. Well, again, Evan, thank you for your time. I appreciate you chatting. anything comes up, I'll feel free to reach out to you, and
Yeah,
hopefully we can have another conversation here in a couple months and figure out how everything's moving forward with you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.